Shalom. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and mercy to the hopeful elect, the 144,000 men that are doing this work in sincerity and in truth across the four corners of the earth. And much love to the 1/3 and the innumerable multitude of you believers out there. To you all I say Shalom. I'm the brother Yeshaya, and I pray, Lord willing, that this lesson is edifying through the Spirit. All right, so I had an encounter yesterday where I was talking to she was Jake. I'm trying to discern if she was probably Northern Kingdom. It kind of looks Southern Kingdom, but ultimately she ended up telling me her religion, and she told me that she was a Hindu Christian. All right. Sheesh. Oh my God, these devils don't know how to drive, man. Salakia, y'all. But that in itself lets me know that you have a lack of identity, you have a lack of understanding. You don't know who you are, you don't know what God you serve. There's so many holes just in that ideology right there. All right, you can't be, even with religion, like, you can't be both religions. The only movie where I really remember they tried to do that, I mean, there's plenty of movies I'm sure they tried to do it, but it's a movie called The Life of Pi, and basically he was talking about how he got acquainted with the different gods and ultimately, JC too. But really, you got to understand that Elamites would do that, right? They'll think because these are all, so the biggest ones who will be into that will be like Elamites and Hamites, or Jake, that think they one of those, because ultimately they see it like, oh, they got free range since they're already serving so many gods. What is it to add one more? But you got this long list of things that just don't exist, and you wonder why they put spirits on you. Okay, so she was telling me about some idol gods. I'm gonna get into the names. I want to get this verse first. This is Psalms 115:1. It says, "Not unto us, O Lord Yahweh, not unto us, but unto thy name give glory for thy mercy and for thy truth's sake." And see, hey, not unto us. That's what we saying. Like, the glory ain't for us, man. The glory, it goes to Yahweh Shema Shah. That's when we give praises. We always give it up to him. We don't sit up and try to absorb the glory for ourselves. And that's what these other people try to do, and she was trying to, and I'm not necessarily trying to beat up on her but she's just been messed up for so long, she just lost in the sauce, that's what these idol guys, they do to you. They put spirits on you even when you don't realize it. It's because now your mind is getting filled with all of these different lies and hoaxes and spirits. And if you can't, especially as a woman too, you're already susceptible to so many dangers, spiritual dangers, when you're not in connection with Yahweh Shema Shai, and when you don't have a man. So you're lacking a defensive protection, right? The Isaiah, even though we know this is coming in Jacob's trouble, Isaiah, the 32nd chapter says a man is a covert from the wind, all right? And that's ultimately getting destroyed from the missile. So man, the Lord is going to protect you from the terrible times that are coming, all right? So you can get delivered. But without that protection, that covert, you're left vulnerable and left defenseless. Okay, so now the demons see even a smooth playing ground for jumping in and possibly going for having some fun. But it says, "Wherefore should the heathen say, where is now their God? Where is their power?" They're like, "Where Yahweh Shema Shai?" Because we've gone through things, because we get judged, right? But it says, "But our God is in the heavens." That's why you're not going to see our God, right? Until Yahweh Shai arrives, you're not going to see Yahweh just walking down the street and, hanging on somebody's neck, It says he had done whatsoever he pleased. So we don't, he had done whatsoever he has pleased. So we don't got to sit up and make a chain of Yahweh and rock it around our neck. We don't got to do that. He's in the heavens. He do whatever so he want. We don't got to rock a necklace, iced out JC piece, bugged out eyes on it. We don't got to do that because that's idolatry. That's how they're not really serving the Lord. Why do you think? Let's think about it like this, y'all. Why does it, when you become a famous rapper, they like, oh, we got to get you a Jesus piece, right? Why that one? Why not any other religion? Why that one? It's because that one is the biggest symbol, besides Islam, putting the crux on you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? But it says their idols are silver and gold, the work of men's hands. Hey, they wood too. She had a wooden one on her neck. And she was like, you know who this is? I'm like, who is that? You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get into what he looked like in a minute. It says, they have mouths, but they speak not. Eyes have they, but they see not. They have ears, but they hear not. Noses have they, but they smell not. They have hands, but they handle not. Feet have they, but they walk not. Neither speak they through their throat. Right? They that make them are like unto them, so is everyone that trusted in them. You see, so they can't move, they can't do anything for you. They got these body parts, but ultimately it's not something that's really benefiting them because they can't use it. Nothing worse than a tool that can't be used. It's pointless. It's losing its purpose. Okay, and now its purpose is just to put demons on people, man. All right, so now I'm gonna bring up two ones she mentioned. First, I'm gonna mention the main one that she mentioned. So she wouldn't tell me who it was at first, but then she was like, eventually it came. We was talking about it. And she said, "This is Hanuman," and so I'm like, all right. So I've heard this name before. There's a rapper who got his name like Hanu something now. He came out with a song called Big Dogs. I mean, that shit a banger, I ain't gonna lie. But that's a Jake. He's an Israelite. He looked like an Elamite, straight up Elamite, but he rapping his ass off. That's an Israelite. So when you understand heritage, you better off that'll give you a better understanding of biblical knowledge too, and biblical history and culture. All right. So it says, when I looked it up, it said the Hindu god often depicted with the So when I looked at it, I'm like, what is that supposed to be? You? That's what I said to her first. She was like, what? No. She was like, look at it again. And then it had like a monkey-ish face, a man's chest and abs, like a body. It had a tail coming off it, like some Dragon Ball Z shit. They had the tails on Dragon Ball Z. But it says the Hindu god often depicted with the monkey-like face and the tail is Hanuman. He is a prominent figure in the epic Ramayana, often known for his strength, devotion, and loyalty to the Lord Rama. So she was trying to say he was the Most High. Well, what is this loyalty he's given to another? And so she tried to say, he has God has a wife. She thinks she's God's wife. She was bugging out, man. She was bugging out. It says, and so I'm like, God doesn't need a wife. Well, his wife, he do got a wife. His wife is wisdom, but you can't say nothing like that to her. But the Most High don't need a wife. His wife is ultimately Israel, right? That's his wife. The people that he created. All right. He said he likened us into a lovely and delicate woman. That's why we're the bride, and Yahweh Shah is the bridegroom. So ultimately, Israel and wisdom, those are his wife. That's his wife. Not what these people try to create in the mind out here. All right. But it says, Hanuman is not exclusively a monkey, but rather a Vanara, a being with both human and monkey-like characteristics. All right, so I think I went to the thing and said like how he talks about he's a shapeshifter. Let me see. Yeah. It says Hanuman possesses immense strength, can fly, and shapeshift. You see, so usually when it comes to shape-shifting, you already know that witchcraft is involved. And now we understand the Lord said we're going to be able to have strength. We're going to be able to fly, right? That's scriptural, right? But whenever they coming off like this and saying it can shapeshift, it's usually dealt with witchcraft, man. All right? But I want to get a verse on that real quick. Oh, shit. Let me see here. Because once you understand how everything works, and then the thing is, so now how can you say you're a Christian and you're believing in this nonsense? You're not a Christian. Shit, even Christians know. Let me see here. Even Christians know. You know, they'll even try to say, "Well, the Lord is the Heavenly Father," but Christians not gonna be bugging out like this, man. Esau done destroyed the world and the heathen. All right, but this is 1 Corinthians 15, and I'll start at 38. It says, "But the Most High, Yahweh, which is his real name, giveth it a body as it hath pleased him, and to every seed his own body." Right? Everything has its own body the way the Lord created it to be. Okay? It says, "All flesh is not the same flesh." All flesh ain't the same. Okay? It says, "But there is one kind of flesh of men." So men have one type of flesh. It says, "Another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, and another of birds." So the Lord is letting you know that there are different types of body types. There are different types of species, ultimately. So he says, all flesh is not the same. So it says, "But there is one kind of flesh of men." So if you're a man, you're not going to have a monkey body, right? Monkey body, bitch. You're not going to have a monkey body, man. You're not going to have monkey. Now, you may look like a monkey. You may be hairy like a monkey, right? But you're not a monkey, though. You know, Jake might make jokes about you and call you a monkey. Esau call you a monkey. But, you know, that whole ideology of evolution and you a half man and half monkey, hey, that's some Edomite mentality. That doesn't exist. Charles Darwin said that he knew that there had to be a Most High and that you can't evolve like that, man. All right? So that's just nonsense. That he's a half man, half monkey. And a lot of people in Hinduism and it's another one. Hinduism have a lot of these, but Hindus, Elamites, they got hella idol gods, man. All right, they got hella idol gods, and all of them gonna be destroyed, man. All right, let me see here. I wanted to get this. I wanted to get that one first. It says, this is Tobit 14:6. It says, "And all nations shall turn and fear the Lord the Most High, truly, and shall bury their idols." Oh my God. You see that? So the day is going to come where they're going to be burying their idols, man. Could you imagine that somebody who's been praising goddamn JC or praising Hanuman all their life, you know, and next thing you know, you see them outside burying them, you know? That's the glory of the Lord. We going to see it. They're going to realize they idol gods didn't do nothing for them. All right? And this is Wisdom of Solomon 14 and verse 8. It says, "But that which is made with hands is cursed, as well as he that hath made it, he because he made it, and it because being corruptible, it was called God." You see that? So that's why the idol gods are through. Right? He said, the Lord said it's corruptible. The person that made it and the idol itself. Because it's corrupt and it's being called God. So anything that's being called a God, also besides Yahweh Shema Shah and Israel, you know, is corrupt. Okay? It says, "For the ungodly and his ungodliness are both alike hateful unto the Most High." So the Most High hates idol gods. He hates idolatry. You know, you walking around thinking that's protecting you, but it's doing nothing but putting spirits on you. "For that which is made shall be punished together with him that made it. Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation, because in the creature of the Most High they are become an abomination and stumbling blocks to the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise." So the Most High is like, hey, man, he's the Most High. He's upset with this, man. You know, this mentality of what people are doing. He says it's alike hateful unto the Most High. Right? So the Lord is ultimately going to destroy the wicked. He's going to destroy these idol gods. He's going to destroy the people that made them too, because it's a snare and a stumbling block to the feet of the unwise. You know what I'm saying? So it gets them trapped up, even though they've been put in a position to think they're doing all right. It says, "For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them are the corruption of life." So like you had to stop it for a second. Well, I'm in the house now. It says, for the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication. So now we understand fornication and what it means, and now the Lord is letting you know beginning of spiritual fornication, right? That's when it comes to fornication, it goes back to porneo, meaning illicit sexual actions, but there's spiritual fornication as well, right? Where you can commit adultery on the Heavenly Father, right? Is this an actual sexual act? And that's another thing that she was getting confused with, thinking that the Most High has to, marry or have a woman or have sex. He doesn't have those desires or needs. That's of the of earth, of the flesh. That has the needs and desires to eat and sleep. I mean, to eat and have sexual relations, right? So it says the device of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, because now that these idols are being created, you now have groups of people that were meant to serve Yahweh Shemel Shai are now committing adultery on him with gods that are not even real. That's like you having an idol god around your neck or worshiping them is like a man having physical relations with a mannequin. That's what it's like, you praying to an idol god, right? That's what it's like. There's nothing profitable out of that situation. The mannequin, it can be appeasing, it can look good, but it's fake. It's not going to talk. It's not going to. That's really a good title, mannequins, right? Idol gods are likened unto mannequins. It got hands, but they don't move. It got eyes, but they don't work. It got feet, but they don't walk. So it's like mannequins, man. You know. And so if a man has a mannequin, if he do something physical with it, ain't shit gonna happen. Ain't no hole or puncture. Ain't no penetration. Ain't no children or childbirth gonna come of it. So it's just unprofitable. So that's the same how it's likened unto these idol gods. It says, and the invention of them, the corruption of life. So the invention of them is how life is corrupted, right? Esau loves using the corruption of life. He loves idolatry. Anything to take you off of the path of the Most High. It says, for neither they were from the beginning, neither shall they be forever, which means they're going to be destroyed. Idol gods are not going to be around forever. It says, for by the vain glory of men they entered into the world, and therefore shall they come shortly to an end. So this these idol gods, they're all going to be destroyed, man. They're going to come shortly to an end, right? It says the vain glory of men. Men wanting to pump themselves or make their own gods or want to worship something. Hey, it's just like the vain glory of men during the time of Moses. When Moses went to Mount Sinai to, pray, they were creating, they said, Moses is gone, make Aaron make us an idol out of our gold and earrings and things like that. So they were worshiping an idol god that they created. That was vain glory of men. You could have just been patient and waited on Moses to give you word from the living power. All right? But that's just how people are, man. Destroyed. All right? This is the book of Isaiah, the second chapter. Excuse me, hold on. It says in the 17th verse, it says, and the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, and the haughtiness of men shall be made low, and the Lord Yahweh alone shall be exalted in that day. See, that alone. So she wanted to mention, like, God has a wife up there on the right hand. Like, no, the Lord is on the Messiah, who you ignorantly call Jesus. He's on the right hand of the throne, but you don't have, and nothing mentioned in the Bible about the Lord having a queen or somebody up there ruling with him, or not. It says, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day, right? Yahweh alone, right? Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, right? It says, so there's not any other idol gods, right? There's not any other gods at all, right? The Heavenly Father, the ultimate creator, Yahweh, he's up there ruling ultimately, Now he gives authority to his son, but he ultimately has the complete rule. There is no woman beside him. Nah, that's foolishness. And the idols he shall utterly abolish. And the Lord, that's how he controls all. He could have made him. It says, right? When you had a man, when he made Adam, he said he gave him a woman, so he wouldn't be alone. He said, man, I'm meant to be alone. But the Heavenly Father could have created a wife for him, but ultimately he knew that it wasn't a desire of his, so he gave that to a thing of the flesh, man, right? But his wife is wisdom of anything, right? But it's not a physical being. It's not somebody who he has to make love to or something like that. Nah, right? It says, "And the idols he shall utterly abolish." Abolish means to completely destroy. Like, it's to free the world from that, right? He shall utterly abolish. They're gonna be gone. It says, "And they shall go into the holes of the rocks and into the caves of the earth for fear of the Lord and for the glory of his majesty when he arises to shake terribly the earth," right? So these rich people, these elites, they're going to be going into these bunkers, man, trying to be safe from the Lord. And this is the point here. It says, "In that day a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they made each one for himself to worship, to the moles and to the bats, to go into the clefts of the rocks and to the tops of the ragged rocks for fear of the Lord and for the glory of his majesty when he arises to shake terribly the earth." Right? It says they're going to throw them to the moles and to the bats, man. All right? Let me see here. I'm going to find it. See if I can find this other one. But, you know, that's ultimately what it comes down to. It's all idolatry. It says they're going to throw them to the woods and to the bats. Well, where, if that's the case, why aren't they keeping them? Why, if they're so precious, they're not, man. This is, dude, I wanted to get some ones that said wood. Deuteronomy 4:28, "And there you shall serve gods, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see nor hear nor eat nor smell," because hers was made of wood, you know. And the curses that we know that says wood and stone. Okay. It says 2 Kings 19:18, "And have cast their gods into the fire, for they were no gods, but the work of men's hands, wood and stone, therefore they have destroyed them." You see, so they work of men's hands, wood and stone, man. They were no gods. They're not real, man. They're not real. And Yahweh Shem Shah is constantly trying to let our people know that they're not real. Sheesh, man. Jeremiah 1:39, it says, "Their gods of wood, which are overlaid with gold and silver, are like the stones that be hewn out of the mountain. They that worship them shall be confounded." You see? Confounded? That's a little inside joke. But, so ultimately they got all of these idol gods that are not beneficial to them. They're really just destroying themselves and destroying any possible believer. So like that verse said earlier, it's a stumbling block, it's a snare to the unbelievers. What was I going? It's a snare to the unbelievers ultimately, and that's what people don't understand. You sit up there, but you're putting yourself in a deep dark hole, meddling with things you ought not. And the Lord is ultimately going to show a great destruction for the wicked out here, man. For the people that are serving these gods. This is Wisdom of Solomon 15:14. "For they counted all the idols of the heathen to be gods, which neither have the use of eyes to see, nor noses to draw breath, nor ears to hear, nor fingers of hands to handle. And as for their feet, they are slow to go. For man made them, and he that borrowed his own spirit fashioned them, but no man can make a god like unto himself." And before I keep reading, I want to read this because the other one I was telling y'all about was Callie. She mentioned Callie. And my first thought was like, Callie's a demon. I already knew about that, and then with the whole Beyonce thing, that's who Beyonce was worshiping. But it says, Callie is the personification of sin, which presides over the Kali Yuga, the present era characterized by moral decline and disorder in Hinduism. It says it means suffer, hurt, startle, confuse. And then right at the top, it says Kali, demon. It says, according to the Mahabharata, Kali is a sinister Deva Gandharva, which is like a god, I guess, born as the 15th son of the progenitor sage Kashyapa and Muni. As the lord of the Kali Yuga, Kali exerts his influence by promoting sinful acts, confined by King Parikshit to 5 domains: gambling, drinking, prostitution, murder, and gold. His narratives intertwines with figures like Nala, whom he possessed and tormented, and Duryodhana, considering his incarnation in the Mahabharata. You see, so this is crazy, man. See that? Complete sin. Gambling, drinking, murder. You know, ain't nothing wrong with drinking or gambling, but the excessiveness is a problem, right? And we know they're talking about doing it to the excess. Murder, right? They depict him looking like a damn demon hog with a sword in his hand. I don't know what that is. That's an abomination, man. I don't know what the hell that is. But sometimes they be having Cali with the multiple arms and things like that too. You know, but this is wickedness. And this is what they show people, that it's all right. But it's not. You know, how about Shemal Shah is going ultimately, are you promoting sin? And they said unrighteousness in the last thing. So man, they will make Cali, they will make you think that it's all good and lovely, but when you get to the root of these idol gods, they demons. They really not even they're not gods at all. They're demons, man. So I'm gonna finish on my verse and then I'll wrap it up. This is Wisdom of Solomon 15 and 17. For being mortal, he worketh a dead thing with wicked hands, for he himself is better than the things which he worshipeth. Whereas he lived once, but they never. Cali ain't never lived. Cali's just a demon, like a created spirit. Okay? And in these instances, we say put demons on you because the devils, they do come around. The demons will come around lurking. They like, oh, this dude's bugged out. Let me go ahead and harp on him and make him think that this fake deity is really real. Right? It says, for he himself is better than things which he worshipeth. Whereas he lived once, but they never. The idol God, they never lived. But at least you did once. You're better than your own God. You're not supposed to be better than your God. If you're better than your God, there's a problem in the lineup. It says, yea, they worship those beasts also that are most hateful for being together. Some are worse than others. That's right. Some are worse than others. Look at this shit. Jesus is probably the worst of them all. Right? But this is madness, man. You know, where you got people believing in this and replacing them with the Most High. You know, it says, neither are they beautiful so much as to be desired in respect of beasts. They don't even be looking good. But they went without the blessing, they went without the praise of the Most High and his blessing. So when you're doing this kind of stuff, you're going without the praise of the Most High. And people like this are the main ones who say they blessed. But that's just incorrect according to the Most High, right? They don't know what they talking about. So, hey, I'm going to wrap it up with that. I pray, Lord willing, that this lesson is edifying. I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakodash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and mercy to the elect. Until next time, Shalom.